Hello everyone, my name is Lanzo90 and welcome to my tutorial for making a spray in Team Fortress 2. This one is updated from the first one I made, but I'm going to assume that you haven't seen my first one for this, so I'm just going to start from scratch. So, the two programs you're going to need to make a spray are Paint.net and a program called VTF Edit. Both of these programs are free. You don't necessarily have to use Paint.net, but I think you can use something called GIMP as well. But the main thing is you need a picture editing program that you can make transparent backgrounds on and use layers on. And Paint.net is one of the easiest ones to do that with. So I'm going to open it up. So you'll want to open whatever picture you're planning to use for your thing. So in this case, I just found a random picture on the internet to do this with. So I'm going to open it up. So there's a few things that we're going to want to do. One of the first things is whichever direction your spray is biggest in, you're going to want to make it smaller. So if your picture is pretty square, so you're not exactly sure which direction it's bigger in, like this one is extremely widthy. Width is very big on it. But if you're not sure, you can go to image and then resize, and you can see here just whichever one of these is bigger is the one you're going to want to try to shrink down. In this case, it's obvious it's the width. So what we're going to do is crop this pretty much until we get to the edge of the pixel of this thing. So the reason I'm doing this is when we're making a spray, since we're going to be spraying it on in-game walls and stuff, it doesn't really matter if there's blank space on the left and right, Because the blank space is just going to be the wall. So when you do this, it's going to make the overall image a little bit bigger. And we'll explain why that is in a minute. But crop the selection up here. I'm using the rectangle select tool to do this. Do that again. So now you're going to want to select, well, this also depends on your image, but if you have an image like this that has a white background or something, a solid color background that there's nothing interesting in it, what you're going to want to do is get rid of it just because it's kind of annoying. So this tool here is called the Magic Wand. What it does is it selects everything that's the same color, roughly. So you can do that. See, now it's deleted. So now this is transparent. This checkerboard pattern isn't actually there. It's just representing that it's transparent, which means when you spray it on a wall, this is where the wall is going to be. So now you're just spraying the word onto the wall. You're also going to want to do that for these internal parts. You got to pay attention to that when you're doing stuff that has words, because it's easy to miss, like the O's and the E's, things that have loops in them. And if your background is a little bit more busy and isn't just a solid color, what you're going to want to do is turn your tolerance up. And you're going to maybe have to adjust it depending on how much you need to do. But if you turn the tolerance up, it'll select further and further away in the color spectrum from white or whatever color you click on. So like if this one had grays in the background, turning it up, it selects both the whites and the grays. Turn it up more, it might select the blacks, things like that. But usually 50% is enough. And vice versa, if it's selecting too much of your thing, because sometimes it'll eat into the picture itself. If the borders of the picture aren't very firm, you can turn it down, and then it'll be less selective. But usually 50% is enough. Alright, so now what we gotta do, we need to go to Image and Resize, and the maximum size image can be in Team Fortress 2 for sprays is 512 by 512. And that's more a reason because of file size than it is a specific size. So the maximum file size is 512. So a 512 by 512 pixel image is the biggest it can be. 256 is the other size that you see a lot, but 512 is bigger, so you'll usually want to do that unless for some reason the file size gets too big. And what you're going to do, let's actually go back because I didn't talk about that. What you're going to do is whichever size is bigger, in this case it's still the width, you're going to reduce that one to 512. And make sure this checkbox is checked because that will automatically resize the height as needed. Then click OK. Alright, so now we're partway done. Now click on this new here and make a new image that's 512 by 512. Images have to be specifically these squared numbers, so 512 by 512, 256 by 256. There's nothing in between those two numbers that you can make a spray. So do that. Now, there's a couple things you can do to get rid of this background because we need to make this transparent. So one thing you can do is you can keep using the magic wand, select it, and press the delete key. That will do it. Also, you can click edit, select all, delete. Both will do the same thing. Let's go back to this image. You're going to do select all, and then you're going to copy the image. I click on that twice sometimes just to make sure it does it, because sometimes it doesn't always register. Then I'm going to go to edit and paste into new layer. Might be a good idea to zoom in a little bit for this part, because you're going to move this image into the center of the picture. And you don't want to move it outside of the picture. You see, you can push it outside of the picture. You want to try to keep it in the middle. That seems pretty much centered, and the text is still all in there. So that's done. Now we save it. Save as. We're going to save it as a PNG. I'm going to call it bonk. Okay. Looks good. It's going to ask you if you want to flatten it, and yes, that's okay. That just means it combines the layers into one image. And now we can just close out of this. We don't have to save the other image. Alright, so now I'm going to use VTF edit. So we're going to go File. You're going to click on Import. There's a few different things here, but it's Import is the button you want to click. So in this case, my image, I saved it to the Pictures folder. Bonk. This should all be fine. You don't usually have to press anything here. I turned these off. These are usually on, but it doesn't really matter, I don't think. As long as you did the steps that I showed before, it's not going to need to do any of this resizing on its own. I want to make sure mid-maps are on. Those are good. Click OK. So now there's all these little check boxes here that you can select, but the ones I've been told are the best ones to click are no level of detail, because that makes the file size a little bit smaller, so that you can do things like anisotropic, which helps make it nicer to view at angles. And then I was also told that putting on clamp S and T is good. I don't know exactly what those do, but I do them. So another thing you're going to want to do is click on Options and Auto Create VMT file. People have been telling me that you don't have to do that, but I just tested it before I started this recording, and you do have to do it. At least for me. I don't know what they're doing differently. So do that, and then save it. So then the folder you gotta put this in is in a pretty complicated spot. But go to Computer, wherever your TF2 game is installed. It'll usually be like C drive, program files 86, Steam apps, Common, Fortress 2, TF, Materials, VGUI, Logos. Here it is. We'll save it as Bonk. Save. And we are done. Now, if you're going to start making a lot of sprays, like all the time, you're going to want to make a shortcut to that folder, because it's in a deep, complicated place, as you just saw. So go back to it. Yeah, it's really freaking buried in here. So I'm going to go back one step here, and we're going to right-click on Logos and send to Desktop. So now we have this shortcut to that folder on the desktop. So next time when you need to open an image or put it in there, you can, instead of going through that complicated route that we just did, get to Desktop, and then that folder. Now you're there. So it's a lot faster to do it that way. So now, our spray should work. Hopefully my recording program will start working. Keep working. If it doesn't, I might be able to just change it over. We'll see. But go ahead and start up Team Fortress 2. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to change this over. 1 second here. There it goes. Ooh, did some weird stuff there, but here we go. Team Fortress 2 now. Go to Options, Multiplayer. And as long as you did all the steps that I just said, it'll just be in here. Be ready to go. Bonk. There it is. Sometimes you'll have to import a spray, which in that case you click on that, then you go to that same folder, Materials, VGUI, Logos, and then you select the thing. As long as you did what I did, that won't be necessary. So now if you want to test, just make sure you can go into offline practice or go into a game and do it. I just like to go into offline practice to test them so that way no one sprays over your spray. Just something to note when you're in public servers and stuff. It's based whose spray gets put on top by
Mission begins in 60 seconds.
Last. So like, if the game just loaded, the map just loaded, everyone can put their spray on top of yours. If everyone sprays their spray before you, and you spray it on them, they can't ever put their spray on top unless they log out and then back in. But if we just press the T key up against the wall, our spray works. Hey.
Mission begins in 30 seconds.
That's all you need to do. Hope y'all enjoyed this video, and